Zero. Hello, Dream Team. I am excited to say that I am with Armani Carter. She is a precious gem, and she has been battling a unbelievable battle. And I just wanted her to share her powerful story, her wisdom, her purpose, her passion, and her dreams with us. So let's welcome Armani. Hi,
Thank you.
Armani.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Awesome. Glad to be here today.
Excellent. So go ahead, you've got the floor.
All right, awesome. Well, to all the listeners, I just want to say thank you for taking the opportunity to tune in with us. I have to say, this journey has been absolutely amazing, but overwhelming at the same time. I found out in actually October, between October of 2018. Cancer began to form physically in my body. At that time, I had no clue that's actually what it was, because at that time, I was working out a lot, into health and wellness, all things natural, very holistic. So it was very shocking to find out that I had cancer, because I've always taken care of myself for the last 4 years. I mean, everything from counting
Mhm,
micros to not eating meat, all the things that we do, who are holistic.
mhm.
And to end up finding out in November the 1st of 2018, it was confirmed that my tumors were malignant and that it came from my cells, was very heartbreaking, because like I said, for the last 4 years, I was doing everything to prevent any type of sicknesses and illnesses. And so that experience honestly taught me that there's just some things in our life, in the universe, that we have no control over. But as long as we're doing what we need to do to limit a lot of those illnesses and sicknesses so they're not as bad, continue to do that, because there's just some things that are out of our control. So, November the 1st, it's confirmed that my tumors were malignant. And on that day, it was very shocking, because I was on my way to work. And, I get this phone call, and, it's the doctor on the other line. And she's like, "Hey, are you sitting down?" And at that moment, my stomach just dropped. And for the first time in a long time, I experienced like a feeling of numbness. And when she said the word malignant, honestly, I had no idea what that really meant until I had to ask, "Does that mean I have cancer?" And she confirmed it and was like, "Yes." And she said it was stage 3. And so as I began to read about the different stages, I was just like, oh my God, like, am I going to die? Because when you hear about cancer, it's the first thing you hear, people are dying. My type of cancer was what they call inflammatory breast cancer. And that's where your breast is discolored. It's itchy, it's an orange pigmentation. And then the tumors, when it's not caught in a certain length of time, begin to form in the skin and bulge out, which are in your lymph nodes as well. So it began to spread in my skin and to the lymph nodes under my arms, and also up into my collarbone, because it was silent. The only way, again, I knew that I had cancer was because it started forming physically. Otherwise, I probably would not be here today. So I'm very blessed. I also got married September the 24th of 2018, and we didn't even get a chance to get our life started.
Right.
So when we got the news, it was very disheartening, because you sign up for marriage for better or worse, and now you're getting the taste of the worst. And it just began to feel like a marathon was ahead of me that I was unsure if I could run.
Right.
And I remember my doctor looking at me and saying, "Your journey will be 90% support, 10% treatment." And at that time, honestly, I had no clue what that meant, because in my mind, I've always been a leader and working hard and supporting other people. So to hear someone say, now someone has to support me in this journey, I was like, oh, okay. I kind of bluffed it off. But as the journey began, I really saw what she was talking about. The support can make you or break you. And as I began to do chemotherapy, which I'm still currently doing at this time, the
Mhm.
first 7 months were extremely rough. I had experiences of not being able to eat, not being able to bathe. I remember months just laying in the bed and looking at the ceiling, not being able to pray and just having to pray in my mind. And I just began to think about the people who are paralyzed and the people who can't see or the people who can't hear and the people who can't talk. And I began to have more compassion than I've ever had before because now I'm in a state of being paralyzed in my own way,
Mhm.
uh, not being able to walk long distances, not even being able to walk from my bedroom to my bathroom, and they were side by side. And I tell you, through this experience, for anybody who has never had cancer, I would tell you, you will go through so many emotions every day that are mentally draining. And I really want to advocate for mental health, which is why I'm super excited to be doing this with you, Miss Debbie, because when you're going through such an infirmity, your mental health state is not good.
Mhm.
You're thinking about your finances, your career, because at that moment, everything stops. For some people, they're able to work and do those different things, and that's great. But for me, my condition was so bad that the day that I found out that I had cancer, I had to quit my job.
Mhm.
At that time, I was a therapist and a life coach, which I'm still currently doing life coaching,
Mhm.
and I work with adolescents who are in DSS care in group homes, and so these are children who depend on me for support.
Mhm.
And, if you know anything about therapy and counseling, working with children, before you leave them, they call it the termination stage, where you give them time and you let them know ahead of time that their services are coming to an end. And unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity. I had to tell them the day that I found out, hey, I am no longer going to be able to be your therapist, your counselor.
Yeah.
Someone else is going to have to pick up here. And so, having to go to work, number one, knowing that I have cancer, newly married,
Mhm.
and having to quit my job, mentally, I was not in a good place.
Mhm.
I remember actually telling my doctor I need a psychiatrist, and she got me one, and they had to put me on medication for a while because it's a lot to handle as an individual. And I say to people who are on medication for whatever reason, do not be ashamed. I rather you be on medication to help you enjoy your life than to worry about the stigma of medication and mental health and what people think of you, and you live a life that's miserable, that leads from anxiety to depression to suicide. It's not worth that. And that's what doctors and psychiatrists and therapists are for, to help us see and experience life through different lenses and to help us cope in our own way. It's no different than a child who has autism or a child who has ADHD. We all are learning life in such a different way. And thank God we have people and professionals who are equipped to help us deal with life in those different perspectives. And so for me, having a psychiatrist to help me with my mental health and prescribing the right medications at the right time is what has helped me get far to where I am now, and having family to respect that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, culturally, as an African American, growing up in our homes, that's not something that we were taught. We were taught what goes on with you stays with you. You don't share it with anybody, because people are going to think you're crazy. And oh my God, you're going to disgrace the family. And now, you're not going to be respected. And growing up with that stigma and then becoming a therapist, I realized, hey, I've been taught wrong. No, it's okay that I get on medication if I mentally can't cope. It's okay that I talk to someone that I trust if I can't cope, because if not, I'm going to become a part of the statistic of drugs and alcohol and different things, because I am keeping all of that within myself. And I just begin to realize that, you know what, I'm going to shatter this stigma and this barrier, and I'm going to get help, because this is my life and I only get to live it one time. And I want to make sure that I am living it to the fullest. And so my psychiatrist helped me to understand that, hey, you know what you're experiencing is okay.
Mhm.
And, his motto is something that I live by now. It is okay to not be okay.
Yeah,
At least it is okay to not be okay, because now
right.
you are identifying that something is going on that needs to be dealt with, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's the baby steps that we take each day. And one thing I had to start doing was, he said, self-care. Self care is maybe detaching myself from social media, going for a beautiful walk, getting around people who are positive, with positive energy, positive vibes, getting a
Mhm.
massage. Journaling has been a lifesaver. Writing out my feelings and expressing them with whatever comes to my mind, and listening to music, or and that really encourages me and uplifts me, and meditation. And so, and even going for a walk or working out, just anything that causes the serotonin in our body to be lifted up to a certain state of happiness and joy. And
Uh,
so I began to have to learn how to use my own skills in my toolbox that I was giving to my clients. But more importantly, I had to relearn my brain for myself. And so when I began to relearn about that level of serotonin, and how, to allow it to rise to a level where on my bad days, hey, I can still enjoy life, has been everything to me. And so, um, one of the issues I've had since dealing with a cancer was the anxiety, and I did end up getting depressed, and but just having that psychiatrist to talk to, and stepping outside of my house and doing things that allowed my mind to think, and along with the medication, was a blessing. And I can honestly say today that I'm able to cope with everything that I'm going through. I still have my mental health days where I'm just like, oh, but I have the tools that I need necessary to deal with that. I usually will look at what is making me feel that way. I would analyze it, and I will begin to journal and write out those feelings and emotions that, I'm feeling, so that I can read them, on a good day, and say, wow, look at what I have overcome. Like, whoa. And once you do that, it's like, wow, I can overcome anything, and it allows you to see your growth and your progress. And so, this journey is not over for me until sometime next year, at the beginning of next year. But I'm excited that I am weathering the storm. And, I did radiation. I did like 35 to 40 sessions of radiation for 5 weeks. I went every day, Monday
mhm.
through Friday. And so that was painful. And I've had a couple of surgeries, and I've been in and out the hospital. But I can honestly say that, um, just using my skills of encouraging myself has been very helpful. And just reaching out to the social media community and sharing my journey and hearing their words of encouragement, and, just us bonding together has been helpful, because it allows me to give out while you all are pouring in. And so, I've learned, just like it takes a village to raise children, it also takes that village to get through cancer and even mental health. So, it,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You know what's really cool, Armani, is you think so much like me, a little bit of a different circumstance, but I deal with anxiety and panic attack, and I've got a genetic disorder. So my son does have autism, and he does think differently. And when you say an illness takes a village, it really does. And when you say like medication, the shame that's attached to, oh, I'm taking medication, so many people are embarrassed to even say that they're taking medication. And
yes,
we all have certain chemical imbalances sometimes within our lives, and it does take a village. And a medication that works for you may not work for my son, or may not work for me, or so I think
absolutely.
the tools that we are able to create for ourselves, like you say, meditation, nature walks, music. I mean, music is unbelievable. Journaling. I started journaling myself, and it really is. And I mean, writing your own story. Like, you've been through so much, and you've come through. Like, your faith is amazing. I've been following you, and
Thank you.
I just you're a precious gem. And I think we started talking to each other like just at the beginning
Hmm.
before your surgery. So yeah, I've been following you, and you're just so powerful. And when you're powerful, you can, I know, with pain comes growth. And like you say,
Right.
you're on an emotional roller coaster ride right now, and you have your good days and your bad days, just like
Absolutely.
in a different way I do too. And I know that we can heal from within, right?
Absolutely.
We've got the faith, you've got the faith, you've got the attitude, you've got everything that you need to keep that powerful warrior strength and keep going, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I mean, it's powerful. And yeah, share a little bit more with us, like where your this experience has changed your life. And your husband's life and your whole family kind of has transformed, right? Because of this. So
Absolutely. For someone who's always been the giver and then going into the position of now having to have someone take care of me was really, really a hard transition. Letting go of that independence and having to be interdependent, having to acknowledge that your caregivers are feeling pain while you're feeling pain. And so the communication between you two sometimes is not always what you expect. While you're grieving and wanting love and attention in a certain way, sometimes as the patient, you forget that the caregiver who's giving the care sometimes is trying to deal with the fact that they're looking at their loved ones struggling right now and not being able to really live their life. And so that was something that I had to grasp because my whole mind was just like, my family doesn't understand what I'm going through. My husband is, traveling back and forth in
yeah,
town. And, you
yeah,
know, him not being able to be here with me all the time, where now he's able to be here, being newly married and trying to figure out marriage life while going through cancer. And, your body changes as a woman. I lost my hair, I
yeah,
lost my eyelashes. They took my breasts, both breasts.
yeah,
Um, my pigmentation of my skin changed. My toenails started falling off. My fingernails started falling off. I ended up getting a fever that was so high that I had skin lesions. So I had my skin peeling. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, my husband's not going to want me. Like, I look a mess, and that was another additional mental
yeah,
health problem for me because now I'm dealing with low self-esteem,
yeah,
no confidence, just just sometimes feeling like I wasn't even in my body. Sometimes I felt like a human, but a dead spirit on the inside because it was just like, what is going to happen to me next?
yeah,
And
yeah,
if it wasn't for my faith in God and understanding the universe, I would not have made it. And so I'll share with you what honestly helped me the most. For me, on my days where I'm just at my lowest, I would
mhm,
always pick up my Bible and read a story about someone in the Bible that was dealing with something. Whether it was a sickness, whether it was an illness, I'll pick up a book and read about other people who have had cancer and, what they did to overcome. I always found a way to change the situation and instead of sitting in it and not doing anything, I said, I'm going to pick up a book and I'm going to find a story of someone who overcame this situation. On your down days, what did you do? Because we're always learning, and sometimes we may feel like we know it all, but we don't. And to have those moments where you can reflect on someone else's story, and I think about life. That's truly what we are. We're here to be fruitful and to multiply, multiply our gifts, multiply our education, multiply our wisdom, multiply our knowledge, and to give to each other. It goes back to that word reciprocity. It's like the recycle symbol. We're always recycling material so that we can give it to each other, because we are spirits in a body depositing things into each other every day. And so it's important to know who's in your village, because if you have someone in your village who doesn't understand mental health, and their perspective is, oh my God, are you going to go crazy, or what is it that you got going on, then that's not a positive deposit. And
Mm,
so the reciprocation that you're going to get is going to be more garbage, than what you need to uplift your spirit. And so
yeah.
for me, another thing was the serenity prayer. I used to read the serenity prayer every day.
Right.
Help me to not worry about what I can't change, but what I can, help me to do my best.
Exactly.
I began to realize that in this life, I
Hmm.
am in control. And because I'm in control, I have the ability and the strength to control whether I want to be happy today or sad. And if I'm sad today, it's okay, because I need to acknowledge that feeling, not ignore it. I need to acknowledge, because it's there for a reason. And when we don't acknowledge our emotions and our feelings, that's when they begin to become stronger and take um a bigger stance in our life, because we are ignoring it. It's kind of like our children when they're like pulling on our leg or tapping our shoulder, and they're like, Mommy, Mommy,
Mm,
Mommy, I need juice, Mommy, Mommy. And then it's not until we get tired of them nagging us that we say, What? And
mhm.
then they say what they say. So our emotions and our feelings are the same way. They tug on us like children until we acknowledge it and we say, okay, my issue is I'm angry today. Let me acknowledge why I'm angry. I'm going to feel this anger, but then you know what? I'm going to do something to get rid of it, because this energy is going to sit in my body, because emotions are energy. This energy is going to sit in my body. And now, if it sits in my body, it's going to start causing some health problems. And that was another tool that I used for myself while on this journey. Is I had to acknowledge that if I hold on to the different mental things that I had going on and the different emotions, they're going to sit in my body and they're going to prevent my body from healing itself, because our body has that ability to do that.
Yeah.
And so if I was sad and I was crying, which I used to cry all the time,
Yeah.
I would tell myself, it's okay to cry today, Armani. It's okay. Sit here and cry. Let it out. It's
Perfect.
okay.
Yeah.
Feel that emotion.
Yeah.
Feel every bit of it. Cry. And then once I was done, I would say to myself, I acknowledge today that I'm having a moment.
Hmm.
Okay. So now that I'm having a moment, I'm going to take some deep breaths, because I want to keep the oxygen flowing. And now I've got to figure out from my toolbox, what am I going to do to bring my serotonin level up? But what am I going to do to get myself in a better mood? I have a list of things that I can do today, but what am I going to do now that I've acknowledged this? What am I going to do to change it? And
Yeah.
if tomorrow's like that, we're going to do the same thing, or we're going to pick something different. And I also am learning to be more spontaneous. I'm learning to jump in my car and just drive. If I'm having a bad day and I'm just really, really, really like on my anxiety's on 10, I would jump in my car, turn on some good music, and I just drive. I don't have it. And wherever my spirit leads me and my intuition leads me, that's where I'm going to go, because I need to go to that area for some reason. And so when you begin to trick your mind in those type of ways, then you begin to, at that point, not even remember really what was going on as to why you had and so it's important that
It lifts
you
you up, right? It
yes,
lifts.
exactly, it
Yeah.
lifts you up. And so those are just some things that, and one of the biggest things I would say that has helped me to transform myself is acknowledging that I am still important with my mental health issues. I still matter. My
Um,
va- my value has not been depreciated just because I'm experiencing something right now that doesn't allow me to think at the capacity that I was before. I am still valuable. My standards are still high. I am still who I am. I am just going through a different life journey on a different road where now I am no longer the teacher. I am the student and I'm having to learn life on this path. And we have to really embrace that side of us that even as adults, we're going to have moments where we are the child, you
yes,
know, and we're going to have to learn how to walk all over again, but we're learning to walk in a different situation. And so,
so
being that I am learning to walk in my situation with cancer, I am a baby, but I went from crawling to now I am walking, and I am believing that at this very moment I am learning to jog. And by the end of this journey, I am going to be running because life is not a fast race, it is a marathon, and we have to take each day one day at a time. And so I have been living life for today, not tomorrow and not for yesterday, but learning to be in my conscious mind, being present, being in the moment, handling what needs to be handled so that my body can heal itself and I can get back to being the Armani that I know that I am, so that at the end of this journey, I can say, I did that and I got through it, and now I want to help someone else. And so this journey has propelled me to be helpful to those who are not only battling with mental health, but to those who are dealing with a mental health or a disorder because of an illness or a sickness, you know, or whatever it is that they have going on, because we are that community. And when we begin to become comfortable and speak out about what we have going on, there are so many people that we're going to be able to help who are not comfortable at that level yet sharing what they have going on.
yeah,
You and
that,
that's the important piece, being able to share that moment, you know. And I keep hearing in my spirit, I really want to tell you guys, be comfortable with being vulnerable. But
yes,
be vulnerable with the right people. But first, be comfortable being vulnerable with yourself. When you can be vulnerable with yourself,
oh,
you're okay. You're
sorry,
able to acknowledge how you feel.
yeah,
And when you are vulnerable at that moment, that what you're feeling is real. What you're feeling is real. And what your body is trying to tell you is that, hey, these are the emotions that you have going on right now. You're kind of like an open gate, but this gate is open because it wants you to let those emotions out. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Acknowledge it, you know, and deal with it. Sit there and process it. And then after you've processed it, let it go,
yeah.
you know. So
You
that's
know,
what I've been using.
that's awesome. You know what? You're like, you give me shivers because you say is just so passionate and so from the heart, and I feel it all. I have company right now, and the dogs are barking. Sorry, but what I do want to say is, you know, our emotions when we're vulnerable, it it is like it does come from a place of the heart. It's not the mind, and it is powerful. And I think the main thing is that we're all equal. We
Yeah,
all matter.
we
And we
are.
all have our struggles. Life isn't meant to be easy. Life's a miracle,
Absolutely.
and so are we, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And I think your purpose, Armani, is to share with the world your being, your faith, your passion. It's who you are.
Thank you.
Um, you emanate love and light. Like, I mean, this
Yes.
journey, I've been following you, and I see your light even in the darkest days. And you know, like, I saw you when you had the blisters, and you still have that beautiful smile. So
Thank you. Thank you.
um Yeah, we should probably sign off because I've got company here now. But what you've done is amazing. And we're going to share this broadcast to all
Awesome.
groups. And I'm going to give you the copy and you just blast it off there because with attitudes like yours, you can conquer the world. Oops, there goes the
Thank
dog.
you so much. Thank
Okay.
you.
So thank you, Armani, for taking this time. You're beautiful.
Thank you for having me. You are too. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
I'll be in touch. Okay, take care.
Sounds good. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.